creating an AI song playlist that tells a story. This time, we're going to be looking at the end product, the actual music playlist that includes images and timestamps, thinking how we were able to finalize that end product, adding those final touches in, say, the description, for example, with the timestamps. So get ready and some coffee because the rockin' ain't stopping once we start building beats with the AI app. Time we left off in our video editor as we were converting the pretty cool music playlist that tells a story to the super cool video playlist that not only tells the story with the music but also adds AI images to help tell the story. Now we're going to be pulling all that together, imagining that we're going to be uploading it to YouTube, although you can use the same process to upload it wherever you would want to be uploading it. So the end product is going to look something like this, where we have the one file. This is going to be a fairly long file where we put all the songs in one place, and we could also then export each individual songs from the same editor so that we have a playlist format. So before I get into this in detail, let's just do a quick recap of the resources that we had in order to basically get to the final product here. So the process that we put together is to say, hey, look, I would like to have a playlist that tells me the story about the Iliad. We can't do the whole Iliad with one playlist. We possibly want to do it chapter by chapter or book by book, as they're called in the Iliad. They call the chapters books in essence. So we looked at the first chapter or the first book. We asked an AI text generator to give us the basic outline of the story, something like a ChatGPT, not wanting the detail, just wanting the outline, then taking that information and plugging it into our Suno, although you might use another system if you wanted to. This is the one that's working well for me now, although it is getting more and more picky about the types of things that it's basically going to try to filter out. So if you say something like someone got killed, someone got hit with an arrow or something like that, which happens all the time in an Iliad, whether it's a war, then sometimes you have to reword that right now. So hopefully they kind of fix that. But it's working great for a while here, and so we can then basically upload it to the system here, create our AI songs, making those AI songs into a playlist over here on the library. So within the library, we have the playlist. And so now this is basically in order within the playlist. We could copy the playlist here and leave it at that point without needing the AI images, but if we want to add the AI images, then we can download these individual files as we did into the MP3 files here. And we can also use this information to make AI images to overlay on top of the files, which is what we basically did last time. We overlaid the AI images. We came up with these images. I basically made 4 images per song based on just a little bit of research on the song, which I kind of enjoyed doing. And we used Midjourney to do that, which is often a paid platform, but I think there's a free version. But you can use many other AI kind of image generators. This one I've been using for a while. I kind of went off and on using it, but it's a good one. So we then made the images. They might not be perfect, but then we were able to upload those to our video editor, which I used Camtasia. You can use any video editor that you want, similar system, putting the MP3s down, laying the images on top of it. And as we did this full process, we thought about making the description. And this is the key point that we have now as we upload it to something like a YouTube, where we were able to use the seeds. These are the point-by-point descriptions we got from ChatGPT. As we created the songs, we pulled the song title into the front here. So I have that, and then I numbered them. And then we also went into our video editor to put the timestamps in the one long video, so that I can then put timestamps into YouTube, which will give us a clickable link, which is pretty cool within YouTube. Other platforms might do a similar kind of process. So this is where the major focus is right now. This is the part where I think a lot of people would not be as efficient to do this, right? They kind of mess up on trying to get the playlist and the timestamps in properly. But if you do the system that we put together, we can kind of do this and make sure that we come up with this data so that we can recreate the playlist. Others can recreate the playlist with the seeds here, and we can research each individual song, not simply by looking at the text of the song, but also by just copying the seed and asking ChatGPT to give us some information on it. So given that, let's go on over and look at the end product here. So note that if you're using this to upload somewhere like a YouTube, then there's a couple strategies that you might want to keep in mind. I'm obviously not an SEO expert on the things, but I can give you some general ideas which obviously seem logical, which would be, well, if I have an entire playlist about the book of the Iliad that I think would be cool because it can tell a story about the book of the Iliad, the two ways I can upload it here is I can upload it as one video like this one, a 56-minute video, like an hour-long video. And if you have a long story, it could be multiple hours. You can go up to like 12 hours on the video. So you could do this all the books and maybe get it under 12 hours. Although there's 24 books, you'd probably have to do 2 videos because I think you can only upload 12 hours at a time. But you could try to do that. And the reason that might be beneficial for the SEO is because then people that click on this one video will increase the ranking on that one video. And so that might be helpful for the SEO. Although if you add more than like 2 to 3 hours, I find it to be kind of annoying because although the timestamps are useful, it's a little bit harder to scrub through the video because a little bit of a scrub takes you like 20 minutes away because there's so much time within the video. So I actually like, from a user perspective, to have it in a playlist. So because in a playlist, I can actually scrub through the video. Each playlist is shorter. Sometimes from an SEO perspective, people like smaller videos. So if I see an hour-long video, some people might not want to click on it. Whereas if I see a shorter video, people might want to click on that. And then there's debate as to whether the YouTube algorithm or whatever algorithm you're using actually promotes the playlists. In other words, YouTube is usually the thing that's going to be promoting the video. Is YouTube more on the side of promoting long form videos, or are they going to be leaning towards shorter videos and possibly promoting playlists? Right? So you can search for playlists individually. How often do people do that? So those are the strategies that you can do. So I think the nicest thing to do would be to add the top video in the playlist to be the long format for people that like that format. And then all the other ones I have in the same playlist if people want to listen to the individual songs in a playlist format as well. But again, I don't think that's the best SEO strategy right now. My assumption, my guess, is the best SEO strategy is to just have one video so that you're not competing with yourself, right? But again, I try to do the best thing that I think is the best thing, and then I expect the SEO, I expect YouTube to fix their algorithm to line up to what the best thing is. I know that's a view of the world that is not the way the world is, right? YouTube's going to do what YouTube's going to do for whatever reason they're going to do it, other than that's the best way to do it, to have the best user-friendly thing, because I don't think that's their focus, because they have kind of like somewhat of a monopoly, right? But I think at the end of the day, if you aim at doing the best thing because it's the best thing for the users, the customers, the people that are going to click on it, then at some point, hopefully the algorithm will realign to have the proper objective, which is to do the best thing because that's what people want, rather than chasing the algorithm around every time they take a turn, which to me looks like a bad turn, right? I'm chasing the algorithm because the algorithm is doing something that I don't agree with because I don't think it's the best thing to do, and I'm going to chase it. I think they're going to fix it in order to have the best user experience, or they'll lose in the market. So that's kind of, but you can do whatever you want to do. That's my little gist on that. So if I go into this one, You can see you got the playlist on the right hand side, but this is the one that has all the songs in one place. So if I scroll down on it, this is the key component where we have the timestamps, right? So now we've got the playlist and we've got the timestamp. So if I go into each individual timestamp, then it's going to take me to let me just turn it. I don't think I have any sound on for you. So you can see the imagery comes in and you got the songs and the playlist, which is great. Now, what I was thinking as the bad thing is like what's kind of cool about this format, however, too, is notice when I hover on it, it gives you the actual song and the seed right underneath as well. That's based on this information down here. So that's pretty cool. But if this was like 4 hours long, then if I try to scrub or like re-listen to something, that little scrubbing going from here to here takes me a long distance, like 20 minutes. Why? Because this timeline can only be so long. And if this timeline is representing 12 hours, then right, you can't really scrub like a little teeny bit. It's going to take you like an hour away or something like that, right? So that's kind of annoying, but it's pretty cool because it has you can see the breaks here where the breaks are and everything. So that's nice. And I'm not sure if you add commercials and things like that, if it's more annoying to have one long playlist with commercials or multiple playlists, because it just depends on where the commercials are placed in there. So that's a whole nother thing to think about, which I'm not going to get into in detail here. But that's the general idea. So then how do we get, and notice down here, I also put the playlist on all of the videos if I remember to. So now you've got this click. If I click on this, that takes us to the actual playlist. Okay, and that should be on each of the videos individually as well. And then you can also add the Suno playlist down here if you wanted to. So I made this public, and then I go here. Now again, you might say, well, I don't want to do that because that's going to mess up. I'm trying to increase my reach on YouTube or whatever, and I don't want to even tell people that I'm using Suno or how I did it. And obviously, again, to me, I get that, but to me, I try to keep everything transparent, right? So you can see I'm telling you exactly what I'm doing here, right? So I'm like, because that's just what I do. So it's going to be, because I'm going to make, but I can understand why maybe you don't want a click that's going to take you away from YouTube if you're trying to get people on YouTube. But for me, I think that's cool. So I put the link here to other stuff, and then I'll tell you exactly how I made the thing if you want to make your own thing. And I prefer telling people exactly how they can take the seed and look up the story based on that, or use Suno to make a song that doesn't have the Spanish component, or maybe is totally in Spanish, or whatever they want, or it isn't in country because they don't like country and they put it in reggae or hip hop or something. So that's great too. Again, I get why you might not want to suggest that, because you're going to say, hey, look, I don't want them making their own playlist based on the seed. I want them listening to my playlist. So there's pros and cons on that, but I think having the seed in there is good because, again, you're giving just more information. People can do more with it. And I think in the long run, that's usually the being more transparent is usually a better long-term strategy. I'm not saying it doesn't work for me all the time, but I still think it does kind of work. I guess it has kind of worked for me as well, even though not on all the platforms. But in any case, it's working fine. So that's what I feel like. It's best to be as transparent as possible usually, and just give the process out there, and people will typically like that. But I understand why people might. Anyway, that's the general idea. So that's the end product. Just a couple things on the logistics of the playlist here. If like when I take all the videos that I've uploaded, I'm gonna get the videos, and then we're gonna be uploading them to the channel, right? So they're gonna go into like here, and then they're usually gonna be uploaded. Like I'm gonna upload them like the number 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've numbered them. So after I upload all of them, they're in this order, right? The last one is on the top and the first one is on the bottom. I want this first one down here to be at the top of the playlist. So I'm usually going to go down to the bottom. This is the long one. I want it at the top of the playlist. So I'm going to add it first to the playlist. I'm going to make the playlist and add it. And then I have to go in order. I want to make sure to go into this one and add it to the playlist next. And make sure that when I set up the playlist, I set it up. There's 2 ways to set up the playlist, right? One is to say, every time I add a new video, I want it to be at the top of the playlist. That's how you would do it if you're like a podcaster, right? Because if you're a podcaster and people are listening to your playlist, you want them to click on the newest one first. Makes sense. But if you're trying to make a music video playlist, then you want the thing to be in order, right? So this thing needs to be in order because that's the whole point. We're trying to listen through the book in order. So that means that I want to set up the playlist typically from oldest to newest. So I want to set it up from oldest to newest. And then I add these one at a time. And this will be on top. Well, this will be after this one. And then when I add this one, it'll be after this one, right? And when I add this one, I have to add them one at a time. So this is after this one. So, just if that gets messed up and you say that you want to add it to the playlist, as you want it to be in the playlist in the order as you add them, then you could just take them out of the playlist and put it back in, right? So let's say this one was out of order and you're like, man, it got messed up. It's out of order. Well, what you could do is then take it out of the playlist, right? And save it. And then if you set it up so it's in the playlist in order as you add them to the playlist, then you put it back, then you go through the playlist again, adding them to the playlist in the proper order, and that should realign the playlist. Now, I think you have some control when people go into the playlist to change it to be in the order of the last one that was added or the first one that was added, but I don't think many people that use YouTube are not that sophisticated, especially if you're watching it on like a TV. So you want it to be in the right order when it comes up so that people can watch it or listen to it in the right order without having to do anything weird, because most people aren't listening to it like with a computer screen. Like other people probably know that. To me, I listen to everything with a computer screen. So it's a little bit more maneuverable, but if you're on a phone, which I don't see how people do so much on their phone, mainly because I'm blind, but and I would think that'd be difficult. Or if you're on the TV and you're trying to do things with a remote, then you're going to need everything kind of in order, I would think would be the best way to go. All right, so that's the general recap.